Well, hello, everybody. We are continuing with our river theme today that Jesus began with his invitation. If anyone is thirsty, let them come to me and drink, and rivers of living water will flow from within them. Now, last week we talked about source. And just like a river has a headwaters, we considered God as our source. Today, we are talking about watershed. Do you know your watershed address?
Yes, your watershed address. Just like your home has a number and a street and a city and a state, you have a watershed address. And what a watershed is, it's a defined area of land where all the water that falls, every raindrop, every snowflake that melts, it melts and it comes down into a common body of water, a watershed. And that makes sense, right? And it means that what happens right here matters over there. It means that the land and the water and the sky, they're all connected. And they're connected in ways that we don't always think about. And here's the thought for today. What if our lives of faith are not just isolated experiences, but are part of a greater watershed?
Interesting thought. There's a theologian, his name is Ched Myers, and he talks about something called watershed discipleship. And at its core, it's a pretty simple idea, but a challenging idea. It's just this idea that we don't follow Christ in the abstract. We follow Jesus in a place. And just as Jesus was incarnate into a real body in a real landscape, in a real historical time period among real people, so are you and so am I. And our formation, our discipleship, it's not generic, it's local. It's shaped by the land beneath our feet. It is shaped by the water that surrounds us. It's shaped by the communities that we inhabit. So to understand our faith, we also have to understand on some level our watershed, our place.
Yeah. And we want to learn more about our watershed. So if you want to learn more, you can look up https://mywaterway.epa.gov/ and you can learn more about the unique features of your particular place and the context that shapes you and shapes how you follow God. That's your watershed.
Jesus's watershed, if you think about it, was Israel. It was a dry climate, politically difficult time under Roman Empire, and it was also a dry religious period of time where God had not spoken to the people of Israel for 400 years. And Jesus used familiar things from that landscape. He talked about streams and sheep and shepherds and the birds of the air, and he used those things to communicate his message to the people.
Yeah. And we live in a very different watershed 2,000 years later. We have a lot of different things than Jesus had 2,000 years ago. So we can try to learn and understand what Jesus's watershed was like by learning his context, his history, the place, the culture, like all those things we can learn, but it's always by translation. For example, I personally don't know any sheep or any shepherds. So in my context, I don't have first-hand knowledge of those things. But when Jesus is talking about it, I can learn about it. It's possible to learn and understand a different watershed and to learn about my own.
Mm-hmm. And we learn about Jesus's watershed, of course, through reading the scriptures. And we also learn about our own watershed by just paying attention and noticing our surroundings. I think we're all aware, right? We live in a time in history that is like a technological age. And that is trying to shape and form you and I all the time. When I Google something, certain results just show up at the top of my feed because of where I live, because of what I've Googled in the past, because of people who are paying big money to get themselves into my feed, into my results. And those all are influences in my watershed.
Yes, so Ched Myers, his invitation is to become a student of your watershed. Pay attention to the place where you live And it's not just the geography, but it's spiritually as well. What's the spiritual place where you are? And what are the influences? Or literally, who are the influencers that are vying for your attention, trying to fill your thoughts, guide your next move? What are your worries? Jesus talked about the birds of the air being fed, the flowers of the field being clothed. This is the twig, I guess. We do have that. But what are your concerns, your fears that occupy your mind? And what are the opportunities for God's persistent presence to find a crack to get into you? For God's grace and love and quiet voice to speak to you and in your specific place where you are at.
We live in a specific place, and God meets us where we are. God is here. God is with you now. And the amazing thing, of course, is that God's presence is always in the present, always with you wherever you are. So the invitation is to know you're here and be with God here and now today.
Yes. And the invitation is to learn about your watershed, the unique place where you live, the cultural things, the people, all the stuff that makes up where you are, that influences you and influences how you know God and how you live out your faith in community with others. All right, thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next time.